Alright, everybody, buckle up because they finally did it. They really pushed me to get serious, and honestly, I didn't want to. But since we're here, let's get into it. Before we dive deep, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe because what we're about to talk about? Yeah, this one's bigger than me, bigger than one artist. This is about the whole culture. No exaggeration, this might be the most important conversation we've ever had on this channel. Now, I know the stans are mad at me, and that's fine. I'll hold off on saying what I really want to say, for now. But let's talk about this mess that everyone's throwing around. Yesterday, a headline dropped that had the entire internet gasping. For the first time in 35 years, not a single rap song made it into the top 40 of the Billboard Hot 100. Not one. And that's where things got wild. Everybody suddenly turned into conspiracy theorists overnight. People are out here saying this is all Kendrick Lamar's fault. That Kendrick ruined rap. The chaos between him and Drake threw off the balance of the whole genre. And of course, Drake's fans couldn't wait to tag me in every post like, so how do you feel now, since you said this was Kendrick's era? Cute. They thought I'd back down. But no. You made me say it, so let's talk about it. Let's start with the fact, for the first time since 1990, no rap songs in the top 40. And the narrative some people are trying to sell is wild. They're saying this is what happens when you destroy Drake and Nicki Minaj, that since Kendrick got pushed to the forefront, hip-hop is collapsing. Now, I'm not naming names, but some folks are seriously trying to act like Kendrick's dominance is the downfall of rap. Be serious. You really think that in 2024 and 2025, the reason no rap songs are charting is because of one man? The same guy who dropped 4 #1 records, had nearly the entire top 10 filled with his songs, and helped artists like Playboi Carti and Clips reach new chart heights? If your answer is yes, then I want you to stand in front of a mirror and ask yourself one thing. Do you see a human, a cupcake, or a clown? Because honestly, be for real. But I'll hold my tongue, for now. Let's zoom out for a second. The real issue here isn't Kendrick. It's the mindset of these artists and their fan bases. The porous mentality that says success is unfair when someone else is doing better. This defeatist attitude, the same one that glorifies mediocrity and excuses laziness, is exactly what made Kendrick have to shake the entire culture with like that, the beef, GNX, and even that Super Bowl moment. Because blaming the guy at the top for your own fall off? That's crazy. It's like saying Michael Jordan ruined basketball because he was too good, too dominant, too consistent. When the real truth is, you could have just gotten in the gym. You could have worked harder. You could have dropped better music. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll break that down deeper in a second. But just know this, if you're blaming Kendrick Lamar for the state of hip-hop right now, the problem isn't him. It's you. Alright, let's talk about the cupcake himself, Drake. Because somehow, this man has turned hip-hop's downfall into a personal pity party. He's out here trying to wear rap's decline like a badge of honor, spinning it into a Kendrick ruined everything narrative. And the wildest part? His fans are eating it up like it's gospel. So, let's clear this up for the Drake stans who keep blaming Kendrick for what happened after the beef. You're acting like Drake was banned from releasing music or wasn't given a fair shot to drop a hit. Be serious. That narrative is not just wrong, it's embarrassing. Because if we're pointing fingers, let's be honest, Drake is not the victim here. He's one of the main reasons the game looks the way it does right now. And I'm not saying that as an opinion. I'm saying that because the numbers and the impact speak for themselves. Since the beef, Drake's been on a release marathon, full 21-song albums, singles before that, singles after that, and teasers for another project this summer. Nearly 50 new Drake tracks have dropped since all this started. And where are they now? Off the charts. Vanished. Not a single one holding space in the top 40. So for OVO fans to act like Kendrick somehow broke rap while Drake has been flooding the scene with mid after mid, that's delusion at its finest. Drake built this mess himself, brick by brick, stream by stream. And look, I was going to keep today light, really, I was. But the more I think about it, the more it becomes painfully obvious, this entire commercial downfall of hip-hop is more Drake's fault than anyone else's. Period. Because when you rewind to the so-called Drake era, the one where he was running everything, what did we actually get? A slow, steady watering down of what hit rap songs used to mean. Back then, rap hits had soul, energy, edge. They pulled you into worlds you hadn't seen before, from street stories to party anthems to raw, emotional truth. Then came Drake. And slowly, the sound turned plastic. The songs got safer, trendier, emptier. Tracks like Toosie Slide, In My Feelings, way too sexy, fun, sure, but they weren't built to last. They were built for TikTok. For virality. For memes. And once he did it, everyone followed. Suddenly, every artist was chasing a moment instead of a legacy. Rap started sampling old hits, recycling ideas, chasing nostalgia instead of making something new. We had Jack Harlow flipping Fergie. Nicki flipping Rick James. Every week, another recycled hook, another lazy loop, another trend. Who started that wave? Drake. He made gimmicks the new gold standard. The gamification of rap, if that's not a word, it is now. And honestly, that's how the genre lost its magic. Because when everything becomes a meme, nothing feels meaningful. When the top guy treats chart success like a game of hashtags, the art eventually breaks. Meanwhile, Kendrick's over here proving the opposite. He's crafting songs that mean something, songs that still chart, still connect, and still sound like they came from a human being with something to say. So to everyone blaming him for the genre's decline, here's the truth, you've got it completely backward. Kendrick isn't the problem, he's the only one still playing the game right. The guy at the top isn't the reason everyone else is losing. He's the reason the game still matters. Let's stay right there, because this is where the whole conversation flips. This is the part one didn't want to touch for a while, but it's time. Because now that we've called out the Drakeification of hip-hop, we can finally talk about what that really means and why it's so much bigger than just Drake versus Kendrick. Here's the truth, the problem isn't just Drake. The problem is how the entire culture got comfortable with what he represented. The laziness. The shortcuts. The surface-level trends dressed up as innovation. Somewhere along the line, hip-hop forgot what made it special, and that's why this year, 2025, feels like the year everything caught up. Now before anyone gets defensive, let's give credit where it's due. There are a few people still carrying the torch. Kendrick Lamar, obviously, is not the problem. He's the blueprint. Pusha T and Malice, the Clips, have been everything hip-hop needed this year, sharp, grown, and unshakably authentic. Tyler, the Creator? He's been in his own world, constantly creating moments that feel real and fresh. Playboi Carti might not be everyone's taste, but what he's doing, the energy, the shows, the impact, that's movement. And NBA Youngboy, whether you like his music or not, has built one of the most loyal fan bases in the game and continues to turn chaos into engagement. That's the short list. The 5 names who are actually doing something. Who make hip-hop feel alive. Everyone else? It's time for a reality check. Because if we're being honest, Kendrick already said all of this. He's been saying it. That's why he went after Drake. He saw the decay. He saw how far the genre had drifted from what it once was. And if you listen closely, like really listen, he's been spelling it out in plain sight. Look at track 2 from the Clips album Let God Sort Him Out. That record alone says everything. Kendrick's verse pulled from Nas's 2007 words, but he flipped it into a warning. The same warning he's been giving all year, that hip-hop has lost itself. That the game has been hollowed out from the inside by people chasing moments instead of meaning. And now we're here. Because when you look around, the faces of hip-hop, the ones who are supposed to move the culture forward, have gotten lazy. Comfortable. Too used to participation trophies and streams that don't translate to substance. The rest of the rap game, outside of those few names, has collectively managed to take one of the most authentic, revolutionary forms of expression the world has ever seen and turn it into something forgettable. You can see it in the numbers. You can feel it in the energy. Fans aren't connecting the way they used to. Artists aren't inspiring the way they once did. Ty Dolla $ign just dropped an album that didn't even chart, that says it all. So yeah, let's be real. Hip-hop didn't just fall off a cliff one day. It was pushed, slowly, by its own players. They watered it down. They played it safe. And now, the genre that once defined rebellion, creativity, and truth has become one of the most uninspired spaces in music. And that's not on Kendrick. That's not even just on Drake. That's on everybody else who stopped trying. And honestly, while everyone's busy pointing fingers, blaming the discourse, blaming people like academics, or even throwing Kendrick's name in the mix. That's not it. That's not the reason hip-hop's struggling right now. The real issue lies with the artists themselves, the ones who've gotten too comfortable, too predictable, too checked out. And yes, that starts with Drake, but it definitely doesn't end there. Let's talk facts. This year alone has been a lineup of disappointments. Young Thug, Lil Wayne, Lil Baby, all of them fumbled. And it's not just about bad music, it's about lack of presence, lack of hunger. Half of these rappers have been so absent that people genuinely forgot they even make music. And yeah, I'm looking at you too, A$AP Rocky. You might not fit neatly into one side of hip-hop, but you've been MIA long enough that it's fair to ask, what exactly are you doing for the culture right now? Everyone keeps trying to spin theories. It's social media's fault, it's streaming fatigue, it's Kendrick's dominance. No. The truth is much simpler. There are three main reasons hip-hop is losing its spark. Reason 1, nobody's dropping. Think about the times when rap felt alive. When the culture was electric, when fans couldn't sleep the night before an album dropped because they knew something special was coming. Those moments don't happen anymore because barely anyone is releasing music that matters. And when they do release, it's either half-hearted or plain dull. Reason 2, when we do get albums, they're either bad, forgettable, or worse, boring. And that's honestly the biggest crime. There's no spark. No urgency. You've got rappers on both sides of the genre putting out projects that sound like filler playlists instead of cultural events. Let's be real, Young Thug's latest work? Weak. Lil Wayne's Carter 6? We laughed, we moved on, we forgot. And then there's someone like Joey, who dropped Lonely at the top. It wasn't terrible, technically. But it also wasn't necessary. It was safe, uninspired, and empty. The kind of album you nod along to once and never think about again. That's the bigger issue. On both sides of hip-hop, the mainstream and the so-called real rap lane, artists have forgotten how to create moments. They've stopped caring about making their music feel essential. There's no world building, no energy, no sense of you have to hear this right now. And that used to be hip-hop's greatest magic. The ability to make a whole culture pause and pay attention. But now, most rappers don't even try. They drop projects that sound like background noise, hoping a TikTok sound saves them. The truth is, hip-hop isn't failing because of Kendrick. It's failing because too many artists have stopped trying to make their art feel like an event. And in a time when attention is currency, that might be the biggest loss of all. You know, it's really no surprise why so much of hip-hop feels like it's slipping right now. And I say that as someone who genuinely loves this culture, someone who lives and breathes it every day. But I can't keep pretending everything's fine when so many artists are clearly missing the mark. Let's start with the ones who actually get it. Look at Clips. They dropped an album with a real rollout, actual promotion, and meaningful engagement. They gave interviews, released visuals, built momentum, and then kept the conversation alive even after the album was out. They didn't just drop and disappear. They treated the music like it mattered. That energy reached a peak when they literally brought rap to the Vatican, one of the boldest, most unexpected cultural moments in years. That's what artists like Clips, Kendrick Lamar, and a select few others understand. Their music is an extension of who they are. Supporting their music is supporting them. And when they treat their albums as living, breathing bodies of work, it shows. The impact lasts longer. The fans feel it. And the culture benefits. We've seen proof of that. Take Doekia in 2024, she campaigned her record all the way to a Grammy because she didn't just drop and walk away. She made people care every single day after release. Or look at Big X the Plug, a rapper who, despite coming from a sound many thought was fading, managed to make one of the most streamed rap albums in recent years. Why? Because he worked the project. He built moments around it. He didn't rely on gimmicks, he put the focus back on the music. Now compare that to the rest of the field. Offset dropped a solid project, but it barely made a dent. Young Thug embarrassed himself with a lazy rollout. Lil Wayne dropped something that shouldn't have left the studio. Lil Baby's moment came and went in the blink of an eye. Even Cardi B, with all her hype, has stalled. When you take years to drop, then half-step your performances and fade into the background, you simply can't sit at the same table as someone like Kendrick Lamar. And that's the real problem. Most rappers today have forgotten how to make their music feel important. They drop albums that sound predictable, disappear the next week, and then rely on gimmicks or social antics to stay relevant. You can't build longevity like that. You can't build legacy like that. Even the rappers on the so-called right side of hip-hop are falling into the same trap. Take JID, for example. And trust me, I say this with love because I think he's insanely talented. But if we're being honest, his last album didn't live up to the hype. Compared to the Forever Story, it felt smaller, like it didn't hit the ceiling everyone expected it to. Sure, it wasn't bad, but it didn't push him into superstardom either. Aside from that Clips feature, nothing really carried the project forward. That's not about skill. JID can wrap circles around most of his peers. It's about momentum, about translating great music into a cultural moment. Maybe that's a Dreamville issue, maybe it's just bad strategy, but the end result is the same. The record came and went, and that's tragic for someone of his caliber. What makes all of this so frustrating is that we've seen the blueprint for success. We've seen artists who treat their music like it's sacred, who build worlds around it, stay engaged, and push the narrative beyond release day. And when they do that, the culture flourishes. But when everyone else treats their work like a disposable drop, the audience starts to believe it's disposable too. And that's exactly where hip-hop is stuck right now, too much output, not enough intention. Honestly, what JID said about recording this album 5 years ago was the first red flag for me. The moment he admitted these were leftover songs from the Forever Story era, it became clear why this project didn't hit the same. It felt like B-sides, like material that didn't make the cut then but somehow got repackaged now. And when fans waited years expecting something that would elevate him beyond the Forever Story, getting an album full of old songs just felt disappointing. Now, let me be clear, I'm a fan of JID. I've seen him live. He's one of the most talented lyricists of this generation. But compared to the Forever Story, which is genuinely one of the best rap albums of the decade, this new project lacked direction, energy, and cohesion. It didn't feel urgent. It didn't feel like an event. And for someone who was right on the edge of superstardom, that's a massive missed opportunity. DJ Head said it too, JID didn't deliver a complete rollout. There were no real singles to build anticipation, no standout campaign to make the record feel like a cultural moment. And that's one of the biggest lessons every artist needs to learn going forward. If you're not Kendrick Lamar or Beyoncé, you can't just drop an album with no build-up. You need to set the stage. You need singles that give fans a reason to care, that make them feel like they're entering the world of your project. And that's what frustrates me the most. JID could have been the guy this year, the one who changed the trajectory of hip-hop and took the genre somewhere fresh. But instead, we got a good album when we needed a great one. Something essential, something defining. And when the bar is the Forever Story, good just isn't enough. What makes this sting even more is that JID isn't alone. Across the board, we're seeing artists who have all the potential in the world but aren't translating it into real cultural impact. Meanwhile, the ones who are Kendrick, Clips, Tyler, Freddie Gibbs, even someone like Playboi Carti or NBA Youngboy, are doing it because they care. They're consistent. They build worlds. They treat their craft like it matters. So when people try to blame Kendrick for hip-hop's problems, I honestly can't take that seriously. If anything, we should want everyone to be more like him. Imagine a scene where every rapper cared about their art the way Kendrick does, where albums felt like moments, where rollouts were thoughtful, and where music actually mattered again. Hip-hop wouldn't just be in a better place, it would be in a new golden age. But instead, too many artists have taken shortcuts. They've followed the worst example possible, the Drake model. Flood the timeline, chase trends, drop half-hearted projects, then move on to the next gimmick. That's why the genre feels hollow right now. Not because of any one artist's dominance, but because too many stopped treating their craft like something sacred. So if there's one message for every rapper out there, be professional. Be consistent. Care about what you put into the world. Build anticipation. Make people believe your music is worth showing up for. Because when fans stop believing that, the culture loses something irreplaceable. And honestly, I just needed to get that off my chest. Hip-hop doesn't need more excuses or finger-pointing. It needs artists who give a damn, who push themselves to create something timeless. And if more people start moving with that energy, this whole scene could rise again. If you made it this far, thank you. I really hope this sparks a bigger conversation about how hip-hop can move forward, not by blaming, but by rebuilding. And if you want to keep going deeper into this, Check out my next video where we talk about how Drake and J. Cole just got completely exposed, because that story ties right into this one.